And an ancient word, Luke 12:32 through 40. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give alms. Make purse for yourselves that do not wear out, an unfailing treasure in heaven, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Watchful servants, be dressed for action and have your lamps lit. Be like those who are waiting for their master to return from the wedding banquet, so that they may open the door for him as soon as he comes and knocks. Blessed are those servants whom the master finds alert when he comes. Truly, I tell you, he will fasten his belt and have them sit down to eat, and he will come and serve them. If he comes during the middle of the night or near dawn and finds them so, blessed are those servants. But know this, if the owner of the house had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. And for a contemporary word, from the 5 Invitations of Frank Ossieski. Courage of the heart asks us to be undefeated. It is the courage to feel, to allow both beauty and horror to touch us. It calls for a different kind of fearlessness, which requires as much, if not more, passion than the courage of a warrior. We find this type of courage when we are lion-hearted in our dedication to staying with the truth of our experience, when we don't reject our experience and instead face what is right here, right now. The courage of a strong heart activates a fearlessness, receptivity to what is happening, which creates space for us to recognize, explore, and integrate our fear. Then we can include whatever it is that had wanted to avoid. Not only that, but this type of courage opens us to a deep compassion for the suffering of all beings. We realize that we all have fears, and like bodhisattvas, we stand with others in their fear. And that ends the reading.
Thank you so much, Bobby, for that heartfelt reading. So before I actually start the sermon, I wanted to say a few words about the words that we see in Scripture, the words master and slave, and later I'm also going to talk about father and child. But master and slave is particularly difficult because it is the words that we have in Scripture. And sometimes presenting them as such helps us to take a moment to ask ourselves, what do those mean for us now? And do they mean the same thing to everyone? And I am so glad that Bobby asked me, he said, I want to put a different word in there. And I think that was very wise. Because when we talk about masters and slaves in our culture, in this American culture, let's say, because everyone experiences culture differently too. Just they live in the same place, but things are different. It is not the same as master and slave in the Greco-Roman world, where people, they were slaves because they were captured in wars, or they were slaves because they were indebted, their families were indebted, or whatever it was. But they were still part of the normal cultural milieu. They weren't treated as something different than everybody else. Their status was different. But in our culture, those words are fraught with pain, hate, anger, sorrow, loss, so many things, because in this culture, those words meant something very, very different. And it's good to be aware of that. And as a white European privileged person, it was my ancestors that put those kind of horrible chains on people, brought them here, and treated them like less than human. And that was not that long ago. So for people whose ancestry comes out of the African American experience, those words are still alive today in a way that a white person will never understand. So I just wanted to say that. It's not my sermon today. It may well be a sermon some other time, but those words do show up. And I think when they do, we need to address them. So that was a pretty serious moment there. And now I'm going to tell you something a little bit about Jesus speaking about fear, because we all have it. I know that we do. We all experience fear. It is a normal human emotion, but again, in our culture, oh my goodness, there are so many opportunities to be afraid. There are personal opportunities to be afraid, as when someone stands in front of other people and speaks. There are collective opportunities to be afraid when we discuss how are we going to deal with the political ramifications of decisions being made around us that seem to destroy rights, take away things we thought we had put in place. Many reasons to fear. Climate change, fires, many things. But I'm going to start by just telling you a very small personal vignette and see if you can relate it to any other little aspect of your life that might bring up a fear for you. So for me, about 20 years ago, I think it was, I decided it was time to actually learn how to swim. Now, I already was able to get in water, float on my back, get myself across a pool. My dad taught me when I was a little kid, and we happened to live in an apartment building that had a swimming pool. And my mom, who was scared to death of water, for good reasons, she insisted my father, who could swim quite well, take us down, and we were about 6, 7, and 8 years old, to give us some real swimming lessons. Well, they were our first swimming lessons, but I gained some confidence in the water and felt like I could get from one side of a pool to another, but I never really learned how to swim. I didn't know how to breathe, turn my head, all that kind of stuff. So I signed up for some kind of thing at the swimming pool across the bay over here, and I had a great introduction class in a big swimming pool with a wonderful teacher and a handful of other students learning how to, do the breaststroke, do the backstroke, learn how to put my head down, turn it, and it was kind of a little scary. What if I breathed at the wrong time? I was quite sure I would, but I didn't. And because of that, I had great confidence to just go on to the intermediate class, which was a class that lets you build on those skills. Get yourself, instead of just across the pool, all the length of the pool and things like that, more confidence builder. And this teacher was very different. The first thing she told us when we arrived was, all right, each one of you now needs to jump off the edge of the pool into the water. So I watched my fellow students walk up to the edge of the pool about 4 or 5 feet deep and jump in. I walked up to the edge of the pool and I froze. This had happened to me before. I was not unfamiliar with it, but I was thinking, well, now I kind of know how to swim, so what's the problem? There I stood at the edge of the pool, starting to feel humiliated. So far, I was the only one who hadn't just jumped in. To me, that was kind of the epitome of that freeze response. You know, they used to say flight, fight, or now they say also freeze. Those are 3 things that can happen to you when you have fear. And, fear is not bad. Fear is good. Fear is what we are as creatures in the natural world. Something comes, startles us, and our body reacts. And our adrenaline flows, and our energy goes to certain parts of our body, our blood goes to certain, so we can either run or we can hide. And sometimes, if those aren't options, we can freeze. And that's all good. And it lasts for the moment of the danger, and then it's over. But so many of us now carry a lot of fear with us all the time. So there I was, standing on that edge of the pool. And eventually the teacher just said, well, next week. So you can imagine what each week was like as I went to my class, thinking, I want to swim better, I want to learn, I want to get in the water. I don't think I can jump off the edge. It wasn't a happy occasion. It's not a good way to learn, to start out being afraid. I did not jump off. I never did do that. So sometimes these fears can be devastating. In that case, I still got in the water and I learned to swim better. But the fears that we have on the day-to-day basis that make us so anxious, they don't go away. We call it anxiety now, but underneath there are these fear kind of reactions. Now, Jesus says right away in this passage, the first thing he says is, don't be afraid. And that's why I'm talking about this. How many times in the Bible does it say, don't be afraid? Like 500. All right, I looked it up. But so what people say, they're looking for different words, but mostly they're don't be afraid, fear not. And there's hundreds of instances. The ones we remember are mostly about angels show up. Okay, you're going to be afraid for a second, and they tell you, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Here's Jesus again saying, don't be afraid. And in this case, he adds something that no other gospel has. Don't be afraid, little flock. He adds a sort of a term of endearment to his words to the disciples and to the crowds who are following him and listening to him as he goes toward Jerusalem, knowing he's going to die there. Don't be afraid, he says. Well, we are afraid, and it doesn't just disappear because somebody, even Jesus, says those words. They might be helpful. They might give us a moment to check in with ourselves and calm down. But it doesn't make the fear disappear because someone tells you don't need to be afraid. And there you are sitting with an angel or Jesus or something, a powerful healing or something that just is too much. And his disciples, they know where he's going. They know he's leaving. He's not going to stay with them. The security they felt in his presence because he's a powerful person is going to be gone as far as they're concerned. Jesus is also telling them through this that they are like children. He often speaks, especially in the Gospel of Luke, as if the disciples are like children. And this is children with a heavenly Father. And again, sometimes talking with the parent-child language can be very distressing for some people who did not have any kind of good relationship with their mother, their father, the people who were supposed to take care of them when they were young and didn't. But many of us do have good memories of our parents, and we've been parents ourselves, so we can understand that most parents want very good things for their children and will go to a lot of effort to make their children's life safe, secure, happy, joyous. It makes us happy too. So in that first part of these 3 sections, we've got a section where Jesus is saying, don't be afraid, it's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. And then he says, sell your stuff. Okay, now, there again, he said that before in other occasions. Again, sell your stuff, give alms, give things away. I think this is because he's explaining a way to experience the kingdom that's being given to you, to become like the God who's giving it. You also give. Well, the first thing we feel is, I could give a little. I have some things I could give. I have money I could give. It starts to get pretty close when you start looking at some of your more treasured things. And again, Jesus said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Then he kind of moves on to talk about another situation, a situation in which the master and these servants shows up, and they are to be awake and ready and waiting for the master to come back to the house, and they're going to open the door for him. And it's not easy to stay awake all night and be alert and be ready when you don't know when he's coming back. But when he does come back, Jesus says, everything's going to be different. In fact, what's going to happen is the master will come in and find you have stayed up ready and waiting for his return. And he is going to serve the servants. The master and the servants are no longer 2 categories of people who have certain roles. They exchange roles. There's a mutuality that occurs in what Jesus is giving as an example of how the kingdom is and how we should be. Servants. Jesus himself, a servant, giving of himself to everyone. And that is that next section. So I want to tell another little story on myself. It's not exactly a story I'm proud of, but just to say the way it connects is if people heard Jesus telling this story, the master comes back and starts serving those who have been his servants, waiting for him. People would say that's ridiculous. I mean, what sense does that make? That's upside down and backwards. That's not how life works. And it doesn't feel right. So I was recently taking a little trip. It was a long drive, and I needed to stop and get gas because I was going over to the coast, and there wasn't going to be a gas station that didn't charge $10 a gallon there. So I needed to fill up on the way. So I went to an unfamiliar gas station. The gas station was very crowded, number of pumps, number of cars. I got in a line, and a car pulled out in front of another one, and I thought, well, I think I can get in there, and then another car. So I got a pump pretty quick. And I thought, well, that's good, and there's a busy gas station, and I wanted to get on the way. So I got out, and I went to the pump, and it didn't look right. It did not look right. It looked like it was ready to pump gas. I thought, I haven't put my card in yet. I was getting my card out, I dropped it. So I picked that up, and I was confused, I was stressed, I don't know. It was a lot of things, but I even thought, I'm going to use a different card. I got a different card out, and I dropped that one too. And then I realized I'd put the nozzle thing into my gas tank, and I thought, something's wrong here, because that is not right. It's just gonna start. I haven't paid yet. You pay first, you don't pay after. And I thought I should go into that little store part of this place and tell them there's something wrong with this gas pump. In the meantime, there's cars all around me, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to go in there. I didn't want to get in a line inside of there with people buying potato chips and sodas and stuff like that. And I wanted to get on my way. And I thought something's just not. Anyway, by then I was pumping the gas. Then I started thinking, this isn't right. Carol, somebody must have left this open somehow, and somebody's paying for this gas. So I'll stop there with some of my thinking about that, but I started to feel bad. Started to feel like somehow I was stealing somebody's money out of their bank account to get my gas, and I should have done something different. So I got $32 worth of gas, and I left. In the meantime, now I'm just telling on myself because I don't think I'm the only one who has these ideas. I might be the only one who did this thing. You might decide, no, I would have gone into the store and got the gas. So you might have made a different choice there. But my fears around things, I don't think I'm the only one. So then I thought, well, they probably have video cameras and know it was me that took the 30, everybody's got a video. We watch murder mysteries all the time. What is it, Vera? You would think that if you were in London, in Vera's time, or in England, wherever she was, that you were on video camera 100% of the time, because whenever there's a murder, it's like, get the footage, get the camera. You know, I thought, oh, surely somebody knows that I got their $30 or $32. So I just think it's just one of those things that happens in life. So that was my feeling of I might get caught. Okay, so that is one kind of feeling that fear arises. You do something, you know it's not right, and you aren't caught yet, but you could get caught. That does not feel good. And then I had other ideas. Oh, maybe somebody was just leaving me that gas to be nice. You know, people pay the bridge toll, right? You pay the bridge toll when you get to the bridge for the next guy. In the days when we used to pay cash, money, some people did little favors. Oh, they paid for you. You go through free. Nice. So maybe somebody just give me that. But that let me think about a movie that maybe some of you saw called Pay It Forward. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? What's the next right thing? And this is a long story to say a really short bit, but it was something on my mind. And I thought, I got to take the $32 and give it to somebody. I need to just pay it forward because it's the least thing I can do. And they're never going to know I had this gas, but it's the least thing I can do so that I have given to someone else the good that was accidentally, freely, however it was, came to me. And, I can think about what I might do in the future next time and all of that. So on the trip home from Mendocino, I had a little envelope, and I stopped at a store that I know is on the way, and I walked in. I got some chips just to look like I was in the store for good reason. And when I got to the counter, there was a young man there working, and I handed him the envelope, and I had written in it, somebody gifted me $32, and I cannot pay it back, so I'm giving it to you. Now, that's not to make me look good, because I hope the story made me look not so good. I mean, like everybody else, things happen and we do things, and sometimes we think, I wish I hadn't done that. But the point is actually about that young man that got the $32, and even me who got the free gas. A lot of times we receive things. And we don't know why. They just come to us. And that is another way that God acts in the world. So for me, I had a sense that maybe that wasn't really $32 of gas that God was giving me. But to the man in the store who got the $32, that was out of nowhere. That was a gift. And how is it to be received? And so I think of that in relationship to this part of Jesus' parables where the master comes back and starts to serve the servants. How do they receive it? And how do the hearers of such a story receive it? Is that going to be okay? Doesn't it upset everything to have that happen? And then the last thing is, there's another little part to Jesus' parables here. 3 parts: the treasure, the part I just said about the master, the serving the servants. And the last part is very strange indeed. It says, I will read it. But know of this, if the owner of the house had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. So on the one hand, Jesus is saying, you could stay up all night, be alert, be ready, open the door when the master comes. But if that doesn't work for you, the thief will come. And you won't know when. He's just coming. Thieves just come when they think it's a good time to come. And that's really very challenging, because not going to have time to fortify everything any more than it's already fortified. So you have a choice. You can be ready and open the door, or you can wait and the thief will come. And who is this thief, and what does he want? Especially if you've already sold everything, given it away, which probably you haven't, but maybe. Jesus is saying you need to live backwards. You need to live upside down. The thief that's coming is himself. Jesus is coming. He's coming back. He's coming when you don't expect it. And if you're not alert and got that door ready to open, just going to come right in. Just going to come in unexpectedly. Going to break into our lives. Sometimes people think it's a threat. I'm thinking about standing on the edge of that pool for a second, because this did not happen to me, but it might have happened to you, or you might have seen videos of it. There's a pool, and there's in the pool a daddy, and on the edge of the pool is a little child, and the daddy in the pool says, "Just jump, I'll catch you." And the little child just jumps, and the daddy catches. And they both laugh, and they both have joy on their face. That's what Jesus is saying God is like a father. Not a father with rules or punishments or anything like that. Like the one that is right there and will catch you. You don't have to be afraid, but you do have to jump when he says, "I'll catch you." And if the thief, Jesus, comes in the night, what is he going to take? What he is going to steal is only your heart. Jesus is going to steal your heart. He's going to steal your heart away when he breaks in. And you won't be expecting it, but how can you not give it? His enormous, stunning love will melt and steal your heart away.